Okay, let's just dive right in. Do you ever get that feeling like your attention is just, it's being pulled everywhere at
Like
once?
constantly, yeah.
Like, you first got these gadgets, these apps, for really good reasons, didn't you?
Sure. Staying in touch, getting news, being more productive maybe.
Exactly. But then somewhere along the line, it starts to feel like they're actually, I don't know, working against those things.
Undermining them.
Yeah. Andrew Sullivan wrote this piece, I Used to Be a Human Being, and wow, the subtitle.
Yeah, that one hits hard.
Ah,
Something about being manic information addicts.
an endless bombardment of news and gossip and images has rendered us manic information addicts. It broke me. It might break you too. Pretty intense.
It really is. And that feeling, that disconnect,
Yeah.
it connects with so many people, I think. The sense that we've sort of handed over some of our autonomy.
They're the very tools that are supposed to be helping us.
Right. You get an app to connect with people, and next thing you know, you can't even talk to the person right in front of you without, like, feeling that itch to check your phone.
Totally. It's like these things we invited in with, the best intentions. They've kind of taken over the house.
That's a good way to put it.
So that feeling, being overwhelmed, the constant digital noise, losing touch with what feels important, that's really the problem we're digging into today.
And the sources we're looking at, they really unpack that whole complicated relationship. But crucially, they don't just stop at the problem.
No, they offer a way forward, right? A kind of philosophy.
Exactly. It's called digital minimalism. Not just complaining, but proposing a different approach.
Okay, so that's our mission for this deep dive then. Let's
Yeah.
unpack this digital minimalism thing. What are the core ideas? Why is it maybe necessary now more than ever?
And importantly, how are people actually doing it? What are the practical steps to live more intentionally in this super connected world?
Sounds good. So let's start with the problem itself. Why do these technologies feel so, well, overwhelming, almost addictive sometimes?
Well, the sources point out that a lot of new tech just has properties that are really good at grabbing and holding our attention.
Okay.
Sometimes it might have been accidental, like maybe early text messaging was just compelling, but often now it's pretty deliberate.
Deliberate
It's
how?
built right into the design, into the business plans even. It's about keeping you engaged.
So it's not just like my lack of willpower. There's actual design involved.
Oh, absolutely. Tristan Harris, the guy from Silicon Valley?
Yeah, the whistleblower?
Sort of. He talks about technology being designed to hijack our minds. That's his term.
He had that really powerful quote, didn't he? Something about, it's not just gifts from nerds building a better world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But instead, it's designed to put slot machines in our pockets. That phrase.
Yeah,
It really sticks.
it does. Oof. And Bill Maher had that even sharper line.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
Philip Morris just wanted your lungs. The App Store wants your soul.
Wow. Okay. That's
It-
blunt.
It is, but it captures that deep worry, right? About how much of ourselves these platforms are trying to claim.
And the thing is, it's not just talk. There's real psychology behind this. Adam Alter's work on behavioral addiction.
Ah, right. He gets into the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, Alter's a professor, PhD in social psych. He looks at addiction psychologically, kind of stripping away the really extreme stuff you might think of.
Okay.
And he finds that these new technologies, they're almost perfectly designed to foster what he calls moderate behavioral addictions.
Moderate. So not like a drug addiction, but
Right. You're probably not getting like physical withdrawal,
yeah.
but it's that feeling of it being incredibly hard to resist checking. If the app's right there in your pocket,
Huh.
compulsive checking.
And he stresses these aren't just happy accidents usually, they're engineered features.
Yes, which leads to these two key forces the sources highlight. First, intermittent positive reinforcement.
Okay, break that down. Like a slot machine.
Exactly like a slot machine. It's that unpredictable reward. You pull the lever or you swipe down to refresh your feed. Maybe you get something good, maybe not.
And tech companies sprinkle this stuff everywhere.
All over the place. Carefully tailored often.
Yeah.
Those little red notification badges, the maybe something interesting when you refresh. You don't know when the reward is coming, just that it might. That keeps you pulling the lever.
And apparently, like, early social media wasn't even this focused on feedback.
No, it evolved. They learned how powerful this stuff was for keeping people hooked, which ties into the second force, the drive for social approval.
Ah, the likes, the hearts.
Precisely. Those old buttons tap directly into something really deep and old in our brains. They're craving for tribal acceptance.
Yeah.
We're wired to want the group's approval.
So getting a like feels like the tribe nodding.
Basically, yeah. A little hit of validation, which
And
means
you don't get the likes or fewer than you hoped, it actually feels bad, like rejection.
exactly. It can create real distress, which then fuels this urgent need to keep checking, keep posting, keep monitoring, trying to get that positive social signal back.
Man. So it paints a picture of tech designed less for pure utility and more for, well, keeping us clicking, extracting attention.
This argument, yeah.
Speaking of the devices themselves, it's wild looking back at how unexpectedly things changed. Remember the first iPhone launch?
Yeah.
2007.
Oh, yeah. Steve Jobs on stage, very focused on the basics.
He literally called making calls the killer app.
Right, and people on the inside, like Andy Grignon, they said the same thing. It was meant to be an iPod that made phone calls.
The big deal was visual voicemail, scrolling contacts easily, a screen instead of buttons. Jobs was even hesitant about third-party apps at first, worried they'd crash the phone.
Hard to imagine now. Contrast that with, just 10 years later, the smartphone became this portal to constant chatter, constant distraction, always in your pocket.
The numbers are just staggering. Like the average person checking their phone 85 times a day. That was a decade after launch.
And that Moment app. Users spending maybe 3 hours a day looking at the screen, picking it up nearly 40 times. And those are people using an app to track their usage. They're probably more mindful than average.
It's nuts. And what gets me is that this huge shift, this transformation from phone iPod to like attention vortex, it seems like it was mostly unplanned, unexpected.
Largely, yeah. The creators didn't seem to fully anticipate this level of compulsive use, this complete reshaping of daily life and attention. Nobody buying that first iPhone was thinking, this is going to make me check it 85 times a day.
Okay, so that's the problem space. Feeling overwhelmed, losing autonomy, being nudged around by design choices. What's the way out? How do we push back? And that's where digital minimalism comes in.
Right. The sources frame it not just as, a few tips, but a whole philosophy guiding how you use technology.
And it's a big shift from what they call the default, the maximalist approach.
Yeah, the maximalist view is basically, if a technology offers any potential benefit, however small or vague, you should probably use it, just in case. FOMO, fear of missing out, drives it.
What if there's something useful on there I'm missing out on?
Exactly. Digital minimalism flips that completely. The core idea is, start with your deep values. Figure out what's really important to you in life.
Okay. Like really important.
Yeah, your career, your relationships, your community, your health, your peace of mind, whatever your core values are. And then you look at a specific technology and ask, does using this tool in this particular way significantly support one of my core values?
So it's not about benefits, it's about value alignment. Does it make your life meaningfully better according to your definition?
Precisely. It aims to turn technology back into a tool that serves your well-lived life, instead of it being a source of distraction or obligation that dictates how you spend your time.
Making tech serve you, not the other way around.
That's the goal. And the sources give some really compelling examples of people doing this.
Like who?
Well, there's the guy, Tyler. He actually quit all standard social media. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Gone.
Wow, cold turkey. Why?
He'd use it for things like networking,
Right.
staying in touch. But when he really thought about his core values, his career, his deep connections, his entertainment, he realized that even the small benefits he got from social media weren't the best way to serve those values.
So it wasn't adding enough value to justify the time and attention cost?
Exactly. For him, quitting was this really strong symbolic act. It reinforced his decision to only use tech that truly aligned with what mattered most.
Interesting. Any others?
Yeah, there's McCall. She felt totally swamped by online information, just too much coming at her.
I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Definitely. So she dramatically cut back. She basically limited her intake to just a handful of carefully chosen newsletters and blogs. Check them maybe once or twice a week.
And did that work? Did she feel deprived?
Apparently not. She found it still gave her the new ideas and information she wanted, but it didn't dominate her time or drain her energy anymore. Quality over quantity.
Okay.
And maybe the most striking example was Laura, a Mennonite school teacher.
Okay, what does she do?
She decided never to own a smartphone. Period.
Whoa. In this day and age.
Yeah. And she was really clear why. She said she just didn't trust herself not to be constantly distracted by it.
That's honest.
Very. She valued being fully present with her daughter, with her friends, above almost everything else. And she figured the minor hassles, like having to actually write down directions or plan ahead more.
Or a small price to pay for that presence, for that freedom from the constant digital pull.
Exactly. She made a conscious trade-off based squarely on her values.
These examples really drive home that idea of starting with values. Okay, so let's say someone listening is thinking, yes, this resonates. I feel that pull. I want more control. How do you actually do digital minimalism? What's the method?
The key method proposed in the sources is something called the digital declutter.
Okay, sounds decisive.
It is. It's presented as a necessary kind of aggressive action if you really want to transform your relationship with tech, not just a gentle tweak.
So what does it involve?
Basically, you take a 30-day break from all optional online activities.
All optional. What counts as optional?
Things like social media apps, news websites you browse compulsively, non-essential texting, even stuff like video games or streaming services like Netflix, if you use them primarily as low-quality digital distractions. Participants in the experiments found they often had to include those too.
30 days is a chunk of time. What's the point? Is it just a detox?
It's more than just a detox, though that's part of it, breaking those ingrained habits and addiction cycles. The deeper purpose is to use that time to rediscover satisfying analog activities.
Like going for walks, reading books, actually talking to people.
All of that, stuff that doesn't involve a screen. And crucially, it gives you the mental space to really step back and clarify what your core values are, what truly matters to you when the digital noise is turned down.
Okay, so you do the 30 days, you figure out your values, you rediscover offline life. Then what? You just jump back in?
No, that's the key. After the 30 days, you don't just reinstall everything. You very carefully and intentionally reintroduce only a small number of digital tools or activities.
And the criteria for reintroduction is?
That the tool provides massive benefit towards one of your specific, clarified values, and it's the best way to achieve that benefit. Minimal harm, maximum value alignment.
Massive benefit, not just some benefit.
Right. It sets a really high bar. And there's a critical piece during the 30-day break itself.
What's that?
You have a duty, basically, to actively cultivate high-quality alternatives to that easy digital distraction.
So you can't just sit there bored for 30 days. You need to fill the void with something better.
Exactly. Because for many people, the phone is just filling time that could be used for more meaningful leisure. If you don't build those better habits, you're much more likely to slide back into the old patterns after the 30 days. You need something satisfying to replace the scrolling.
That makes sense. Did people develop interesting habits after doing this declutter?
Yeah, some really creative stuff came out of it. People who, removed the web browser app from their phone entirely.
Just no browser.
Yep. Or started carrying physical notebooks again to jot down ideas instead of reaching for the phone. Setting strict phone curfews, like phone off from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m., no exceptions.
Okay.
Setting quotas for how many times they check certain websites.
Yeah.
One young guy, I think he was 19, actually bought a wristwatch.
A watch? Why?
Because he realized 75% of the times he fell down a phone rabbit hole, it started simply because he picked it up to check the time.
Wow. That's revealing. It shows the level of intentionality, the little tweaks you can make to regain control.
Absolutely. It's about consciously designing your environment and habits.
So, speaking of reclaiming things, let's talk about some of the fundamental human experiences that seem to get lost or diminished when our attention is constantly fragmented, when we're always connected. The first big one the sources discuss is solitude.
Right. And it's important to define solitude carefully here. Kethledge and Erden, who wrote a whole book on it, define it as a subjective state where your mind is free from input from other minds.
So it's not necessarily about being physically alone in a cabin somewhere?
No. You could be in a crowded place, technically.
Wow.
It's about your mind being free to wander, to process, to reflect, without being fed information or opinions from others. Lincoln, seeking solitude at his cottage near D.C., wasn't physically isolated, but he carved out mental space.
And why is that state so valuable? What do we lose when we lose solitude?
The sources argue we lose a lot. Insight, emotional balance, the ability to generate genuinely new ideas, a deeper understanding of ourselves. Michael Harris even suggests solitude is necessary for closer relationships, ironically.
That is counterintuitive. How so?
Maybe because solitude allows you to understand yourself better, which then allows you to connect more authentically with others.
Interesting. Virginia Woolf wrote about how women were historically denied solitude, but now it feels like we often deny it to ourselves.
We do. And the smartphone is identified as a major driver of what the sources call solitude deprivation.
How did that happen?
Well, the iPod started it, making entertainment portable, filling quiet moments. But the smartphone finished the job. Any hint of boredom, any moment of unstructured time, any uncomfortable feeling, boom, instant escape via the screen. Solitude banished with a quick glance.
Back to those moment app stats again. 3 hours a day looking at the phone, picking it up 40 times. Where is the space for solitude in that?
There isn't much. Your brain is almost constantly processing external input.
And this lack of solitude, this constant stimulation, the sources link it to rising anxiety, especially in younger people.
Yes, there's a concerning correlation noted, particularly with teenagers. Jean Twenge and Benoit Denise-Lewis observed this significant spike in anxiety and mental health issues right around the time smartphone ownership became nearly universal for that generation, around 2011, 2012.
Twenge had that really stark quote about the data.
The one about it being enough for an arrest.
Yeah, it's enough for an arrest, and as we get more data, it might be enough for a conviction. Linking heavy smartphone social media use to declining teen mental health, it's a powerful warning.
It suggests that humans, especially maybe developing brains, just aren't wired for this level of constant connection and input. We need downtime. We need solitude.
And historically, people recognize this, right? They actively sought solitude.
Absolutely. Think of Thoreau going to Walden Pond to live deliberately.
Sure.
A huge part of that was solitude. Long walks, time to think.
Or Lincoln, you mentioned.
Oh, be
Escaping the White House to his cottage.
right. Deliberately commuting back and forth, sometimes walking, even when it was potentially risky during the Civil War,
Yeah.
just to get that unstructured time to think. That's where historians believe he wrestled with huge decisions like the Gettysburg Address, the Emancipation Proclamation. He needed that solitude.
So if we want to reclaim some solitude today, what's a practical step?
One concrete practice suggested is leave your phone at home sometimes.
Just don't take it.
Yeah. Think about the Alamo Drafthouse movie theater policy. 0 tolerance for phones. They'll kick you out.
Right. They value the undistracted experience.
Contrast that with what an AMC executive apparently said. Something like, you can't tell a 22-year-old to turn off their cell phone. It shows how much our baseline expectation has shifted towards constant availability.
But is the phone really essential most of the time we leave the house?
Probably not, right? Minor conveniences, sure, but vital. In 90% of daily situations, maybe not. Leaving it behind forces you to be present, to rely on your own mind. The author mentions using simple Moleskine notebooks for reflection, choosing analog to create that space.
Okay, so reclaiming solitude is one piece. What's the second fundamental experience that gets crowded out?
High-quality leisure. The argument here is that a lot of that compulsive phone checking, that aimless scrolling, it happens because people haven't cultivated better, more engaging ways to spend their free time.
So the phone is like junk food for leisure time. It fills a void but isn't really satisfying.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
We need to cultivate a richer leisure life. And the sources offer lessons on what constitutes high-quality leisure.
Okay, lesson 1.
Lesson 1, prioritize demanding activity. This comes from the Bennett principle, basically. The idea is that spending energy on your leisure, doing something challenging, requiring effort, can actually leave you feeling more energized than passive consumption.
So watching Netflix might feel relaxing, but it can actually be kind of fatiguing, whereas doing something active
Can be invigorating. The value you get is often proportional to the energy you invest. Think of Pete Adney, Mr. Money Mustache, who heats his house with wood or learns welding in his spare time.
definitely not passive. Or Liz Thames doing similar things, lots of physical activity.
Right. It's about engaging activities that require real effort, skill, or focus.
Okay, lesson 2.
Lesson 2, focus on craft. This is about applying skill to create something valuable, often something tangible, physical, in the real world.
Not just digital creation.
The emphasis is often on the analog. Matthew Crawford, the philosopher turned motorcycle mechanic, talks about this beautifully. He says working with physical things forces you to reckon with the infallible judgment of reality.
What does that mean?
It means the thing either works or it doesn't. The wood is cut straight or it's not. The engine runs or it stalls. There's an objective reality to it that provides a really solid sense of accomplishment, unlike, say, seeking likes online.
Which Crawford called the boasts of a boy.
Exactly. Craft offers unambiguous self-worth. Gary Rogowski's quote sums it up. Leave good evidence of yourself. Do good work.
So the suggested practice here is...
Fix or build something every week.
Hmm.
A small, non-digital project.
Right.
Fix a leaky faucet, build a birdhouse, plant something, learn to knit. Anything that involves physical manipulation and skill application. It taps into a fundamental human drive the digital world often neglects.
Okay, demanding activity, craft. Lesson 3.
Lesson 3, seek structured sociality. The sources argue strongly that real-world, face-to-face interactions are vastly richer than online connections.
Why? Because of nonverbal cues and stuff?
Exactly. Our brains are evolved to process this huge stream of subtle analog data, tone of voice, facial expressions, body language, shared physical presence. Online interactions are incredibly low bandwidth compared to that.
They use that simile, like towing a Ferrari behind a mule.
Yeah. We have this incredibly sophisticated social processing machinery in our brains, and online, we're feeding it these tiny trickles of information. It's unsatisfying.
So what kind of structured sociality works best?
Things like organized group activities. Tabletop gaming is a great example.
Board games, D&D.
Yeah. Sachs and Nicholson talk about the rich multimedia 3D interaction of games, or social fitness groups, F3, CrossFit, are mentioned.
What makes those effective?
Two key things. They require in-person interaction, and they provide structure. Rules, maybe special jargon, a shared goal or activity. That structure actually frees people up to interact more easily and build strong community bonds.
Like learning all the weird F3 nicknames as part of joining the tribe.
Right. Or the shared suffering and goals in a CrossFit workout creates intense camaraderie. These things are thriving because they offer something deeply human that purely online interaction often lacks.
So the practice is pretty simple. Join something.
Simple to say, maybe harder to do. But yeah, like Benjamin Franklin actively creating social clubs in Philadelphia, the idea is we need to be intentional about building these structured social activities into our lives.
It's interesting, though. The sources also mention this idea of a leisure renaissance happening, and the internet itself is kind of fueling it. It seems contradictory.
It does a bit, but it makes sense. While the internet can be a source of low-quality distraction, it's also an incredible tool for supporting high-quality leisure.
How so?
Well, it helps people find niche communities. The Mouse Book Club example, people passionate about tiny physical books finding each other online, or finding instructions like YouTube tutorials for learning welding or woodworking or any craft.
So it can be a tool to support offline high-quality activities.
Exactly, if used intentionally. And to make these things happen, the sources suggest getting structured about planning leisure too.
Like scheduling fun?
Kind of. Using maybe seasonal leisure plans, setting broader goals or projects for the next few months, and weekly leisure plans, actually scheduling specific times for these activities each week. It helps ensure they don't get crowded out by easier, lower quality distractions.
Treat your leisure with the same seriousness you treat work, almost.
In terms of planning and commitment, yes.
Okay, so to understand why all this is necessary, why we need minimalism and high-quality leisure, it helps to grasp the underlying system, right? The attention economy.
Absolutely. This concept is key. It's the business model where companies make money primarily by capturing your attention and then selling that attention to advertisers.
You're not the customer, you're the product being sold.
Essentially, yes. Tim Wu traces this back way further than the internet, actually, to Benjamin Day and the New York Sun newspaper in the 1830s.
Really? How did that work?
Day used new cheap printing tech to sell his paper for a penny, way below cost. He realized he could make his profit by selling access to his large readership, their attention to advertisers. The reader's attention became the commodity.
Wow. So this isn't new, just supercharged now.
Exactly. The scale today is mind-boggling. Look at the market caps of Google, Facebook. Hundreds of billions, sometimes trillions. They dwarf old industrial giants. That's how valuable harvesting eyeball minutes has become.
And the smartphone was the key breakthrough for them.
Huge. Because it allowed them to capture all those previously unmolested moments of focus, waiting in line, riding the bus, quiet moments at home. Attention engineering became focused on grabbing every spare second.
Facebook even positions itself like electricity, right? Just a basic utility you have to use.
Yeah, that framing makes people feel they don't have a choice, which makes them easier targets for the engineers whose job is to maximize time on site, time on app.
Which brings us to fighting back, the attention resistance. How do we resist being farmed for our attention?
Well, the first step is just realizing that thinking critically about how you use this stuff is itself a threat to their business model. The sources use this Facebook's folly idea. Facebook's own researchers found that active, intentional use of the platform messaging friends, engaging in groups, was better for well-being than passive scrolling.
Okay, so why is that a folly?
Because if Facebook actually encouraged everyone to only use the platform for things that provided massive benefit to their core values, people would spend drastically less time on it.
Ah, their usage numbers would crater.
Exactly. And so would their advertising revenue. So there's a fundamental conflict between maximizing user well-being through intentional use and maximizing profit through maximizing time spent.
Okay, so knowing that, what are some concrete resistance tactics?
The sources list several. First one, pretty direct, delete social media from your phone.
Just take the apps off.
Yeah. Many people who do this report, they basically stop using the services almost entirely, maybe checking occasionally on a computer. It highlights just how much the mobile access drives that compulsive, low-value checking.
And the social media companies must hate that practice.
Oh, absolutely. Mobile is everything for their growth and attention capture.
Okay, what else?
Turn your devices into single-purpose computers. Think about Fred Stutzman's Freedom app, which blocks distracting websites.
But doesn't blocking stuff reduce the computer's power? Make it less useful?
That's the common objection, but the argument is, the power of general-purpose computers is that they can do many things over time, not that they're great at doing many things simultaneously. Multitasking is mostly a myth for productivity.
So blocking distractions actually increases your ability to do one thing well.
Exactly. It helps you focus, which boosts productivity on the task at hand.
Makes sense. What's next?
Use social media like a professional. Jennifer Greigel's approach is cited here. Professionals don't generally see social media as idle entertainment. They use it strategically, with intention, to extract specific value.
How did she do it?
Very limited Facebook, mostly for close friends and family updates. Twitter used more like a professional radar, employing tools like TweetDeck for sophisticated filtering to find relevant information, not just scrolling the main feed.
So the mindset is like being the director of emerging media for your own life.
Yeah, that's the phrase used, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Have a clear plan. Know what information or connection you're seeking. Get it efficiently. Cut out the noise and waste.
Okay, another tactic.
Embrace slow media. This contrasts with the sort of typical American low-information diet, lots of headlines, clicks, shallow takes, with a more European approach focused on depth and quality.
Slow media, like slow food.
Kind of, yeah. Transforming consumption into a high-quality experience. The principles are, rely on a few high-quality sources you trust with good reporting and writing.
Okay.
Actively seek out opposing viewpoints, not to argue, but because it makes the whole thing more interesting and nuanced.
And ritualize your consumption.
Ritualize. How?
Set specific times and places. Maybe read a physical newspaper on Saturday morning, or download long articles to an e-reader to read offline later. The goal is to avoid that constant reactive snacking on headlines and notifications all day long. Quality, depth, intention over sheer quantity.
Right. Less is more if the less is better. Precisely. And finally, for those really wanting to push back.
The nuclear option.
Maybe.
Well,
Buy a light phone or a similar minimalist device.
the really basic phones that just call and text.
Yeah. It's presented as a deliberate escape hatch from the whole smartphone ecosystem. An act of attention resistance against the tech giants trying to monetize every second. Their manifesto even says, your clock symbol, their money symbol.
Wow. Making the trade-off explicit. Time versus money. Your time, their money.
Exactly.
Okay. So we started this thinking about Samuel Morse, the telegraph.
Yeah.
Another tech that totally changed the world in unexpected ways.
Yeah, history is full of them.
And we talked about Andrew Sullivan's lament, that feeling of, I used to be a human being.
That sense of being diminished or fragmented by technology.
But the core hope running through all this digital minimalism philosophy, drawing on all these sources, it seems to be that it's possible to reverse that.
Definitely. That by engaging with tech intentionally, by starting with your values and making the tools serve them, you can actually move beyond just coping.
Not just stopping the damage, but actually using tech constructively.
Right. Moving from feeling broken or hijacked to maybe, just maybe, being able to say with confidence, because of how I choose to use technology, I'm actually a better human being, more connected to what matters, more focused, more fulfilled than I ever would have been without it.
That's a powerful aspiration, using these powerful tools to enhance our humanity, not diminish it.
That's the ultimate goal of digital minimalism, I think.
So maybe the final thought to leave people mulling over is this. In this world that is so powerfully designed for constant distraction, for constant connection, what's the single most important thing you personally could reclaim or prioritize differently, starting right now, to bring your life more into alignment with your deepest values?